We have title winners being crowned all over the place, so let's not waste too much time with intros here, guys. I'm Adrian. This is Rabona TV's weekend recap, and if at any point you dig the content, then hit that subscribe button to open yourself up to the world of the roots of the rivalry, you know, the top derbies in football, in-depth player bios, and so much more. Also, this series is brought to you by OneFootball, the football app that's so much more than just the fastest breaking news, customizable news feeds, highlights, live match tickers, and as I said, so much more. So, to keep you up to date on the go. Free download in the description of this video for either iOS or Android. Watford versus City, FA Cup final. I mean, as far as the match itself goes, there isn't much analysis or breaking down to do. I mean, it did end 6-0 after all. One major change in City's lineup was the inclusion of Gabriel Jesus over Aguero. Was a bit surprised that Aguero was left out completely in this match, but Jesus deserved a go. It's been a tough season for him. In fact, the fact that it's been a tough season for Jesus and players like Sané, well, De Bruyne also had issues, though that was down to injuries, it really illustrates how deep this City squad is. But anyway, Watford had an opportunity via Pereira when it was still 0-0, and had that been converted, perhaps the flow of the match would have changed, but with the kind of form that City were in on the day, I'm not so sure that the goal would have made a difference, really. And with the ball going in the opposite direction, David Silva finally converted. A David Silva with hair is very different from that of one without. He was incredible last season when he was bald. But anyways, this goal in the final was his first in 2019, so he'll be glad that stretch is over. His last came on December 30th against Southampton. That's 27 matches straight without a goal. From there, they added a second before the half was up, and the floodgates opened in the 61st minute. De Bruyne came on for Riyad Mahrez earlier in the half, and he calmly stepped around Pastor Gomes, thanks to an unselfish touch from Gabriel Jesus, and what a match these two had, as De Bruyne then set up Jesus for his brace, and Raheem Sterling scored the final 2 goals of a 6-0 final. I feel for Watford. There must have been some belief in a potential upset, especially if their fans had been taking in the Champions League football lately, you know, with all those comebacks and the magic of that. That would make you dare to dream, but it wasn't to be so, and City destroyed Watford. Bad way for Gomes to go out, if that was indeed his final match, which it seems like it was. And oh yeah, despite me saying it's been a tough season for Gabriel Jesus as far as playing time goes, he still managed to score 21 goals this season across all competitions, 5 in the League Cup, 5 in the FA Cup, 7 in the Premier League, and 4 in the Champions League. And the numbers and records behind City themselves this season are incredible. A domestic treble, quadruple, if you're a weirdo and want to count the Community Shield, meaning they're just the first English side ever to win a domestic treble, and they did so by becoming the first English team to reach 50 wins in a single season. Pep has built an incredible side and has already left a legacy with City, the proof of which being that he has reiterated that he wants to stay at City for as long as possible, but that hunger for European glory will be the next thing he'll need to say to really take it to the next level at that club. And with the depth in this squad and likely more additions incoming, you wouldn't put it past them to shake their European hoodoo soon. You never know. But they'll sadly have to do that without their captain and club legend, let's be honest, Vincent Kompany, who announced the day after the match that he would be leaving City to return to Anderlecht as a player manager. He leaves having won 4 league titles, 4 League Cups, and 2 FA Cups. Anderlecht is in a bad way in the moment. They failed to qualify for Europe for the first time in a million years. So the leadership he'll bring cannot be contested and will be very, very welcome. However, being a player manager will be quite the pressure situation. So I'm interested to see how he does and if he can get them back on track. Oh, and speaking of the European push for City, their departing captain left a challenge for his teammates in his final message, saying that the Champions League is the only thing they're missing and they'll be judged on what they can do in Europe. Alright, that's all for now on the FA Cup. A massive congratulations to City and all their fans for the historic season, and best of luck to Kompany at Anderlecht. Now, you may have noticed that I haven't had any Portuguese football in the weekend recap for a while now, and that's due to simple superstitions. I didn't want to jinx anything, I didn't want to tempt fate, and I prefer to speak after a job is done. Now, anyone here remember Eliseu, Benfica and Portugal's former left back, known for having a howitzer of a left foot? Well, I certainly remember him, and maybe you even saw images of him riding his Vespa in Benfica's dressing room a few years ago. Well, get the Vespas out, boys, because Eliseu has been spotted again after disappearing for a while. Why? Because Benfica are the champions of Portugal! Yes! Come on, caralho! After such a terrible start to the season under Rui Vitoria, after dropping as low as 5th at one point. You want to see title-winning form? Just go ask the king of Portugal right now, Bruno Lage. Ask him how he did it, and he'll tell you that it's simple. Don't lose a single f***ing match and win 18 of your 19 final matches, scoring 68 goals since he took over and conceding 15. Yes. Benfica went from 7 points off the top in 4th place, looking stranded on an island alone when Bruno Lage took over, and in the process, he led them to 18 wins and 1 draw with a 53+ goal difference, infusing the team with youthful exuberance and getting crazy performances out of the likes of Seferovic, Samaris, Pizzi, Rafa, João Felix, of course, and so many more. Man, I haven't even mentioned that we won the title by defeating Santa Clara 4-1. Goals from the most notorious trio in Portugal right now, Seferovic, Felix, and Rafa. Rafa finishes his season with 17 goals and 2 assists in the league. João Felix with 15 goals and 7 assists. And Seferovic, what a turnaround in his Benfica career. 23 goals as the top scorer in the league, and without a single one of those goals being a penalty. Penalties were hard to come by for Benfica, but nobody seems to notice that because it isn't convenient. By the way, he scored 20 goals across all competitions once Lage took over. Kings, man. I'm so happy with this Benfica side and excited for the future now. Commiserations to Porto. It was a good fight, but I don't know. I'll leave it at that. 37 is ours. Bring on 38. God, it's so beautiful seeing my Twitter timeline just teeming with red. Red flares, red kits, and red Vespas, of course. Thank you, Eliseo, for returning in the most perfect way possible. Okay, boys, next up, you fired up now? I've got the energy, so let's move on to another country that crowned their kings. Turkey. With Istanbul Basaksehir and Galatasaray going right down to the wire, how fitting was it that these two teams played each other on the penultimate match day in what was a winner-takes-all grudge match. With both teams stuck on 66 points and with one match remaining, the winner would be crowned champions. Well, the tie would mean that the champion crowning would be delayed by one more final match. So, in the second to last match, what happened? Thankfully, this was quite the match, with Galatasaray as the hosts. Basaksehir scored first in the 17th minute, and the temperature was hot here, as fans and players alike clashed. I mean, would you expect anything less from a Turkish match? Let alone these two local teams facing each other for the rights of the league title. However, it all kicked off because a celebrating Basaksehir player smashed the ball at the Galatasaray supporters after they scored, man. It was, not gonna lie, it was deplorable. As a professional, you shouldn't be doing that, but it was pretty damn funny. Anyway, in the second half, Gala got their equalizer from a corner kick after Feghouli scored a breathtaking overhead goal. His header hit the bar, and the equalizer was driven into the far top corner, 1-1 with just under 45 minutes remaining to try to settle not just the match, but the league. All Galatasaray needed was 10 minutes though. Henry Onyekuru's back heel gave Younes Belhanda just enough room to bank the ball off the post and in, but the goal was called off due to a handball in the build-up to the goal. So, back to 1-1, but just 9 minutes later, Onyekuru put his fingerprints all over this title-winning match as he replaced his stolen assist from earlier with a headed goal to give Galatasaray the 2-1. But again, no, I'm joking. They actually won 2-1, meaning they go on to 69 points to Basaksehir's 66 and have won their 22nd Turkish Super League title. Congrats to them, and there will be plenty more congrats to hand out in this episode. Like Portugal, the Bundesliga title decision came down to the final match day, with it all still to play for between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich, who were the leaders going into this final day. Dortmund played away to Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Dortmund didn't just go in there and win in some Borussia on Borussia violence. They won handily. 2-0 thanks to goals from Jadon Sancho and who else but Marco Reus, making his return for the final match of the season. That was enough for 76 points on the season, and they did well enough to steal Thorgan Hazard from their Borussia brothers, as Eden's younger brother confirmed he's leaving Mönchengladbach for Dortmund this summer. Nothing has been confirmed by the respective clubs as of filming this on Sunday, May 19th, but Thorgan Hazard said, quote, Witsel is a player with who I speak very often. Next year he will be there to help me. When a club like Borussia Dortmund calls you, the motivation is clear. It is good to have someone that I know there. I hope that I will adapt easily, but I don't think there will be any issue. So a win there for Dortmund as well, as Hazard's quality has been pretty sought after this season, finishing the Bundesliga with 10 goals and 10 assists. Very Hazard of him, those even assists and goal numbers. Eden tried to get his equal, but just missed out in the Premier League. So, Dortmund won, but did it get them the title? Well, Bayern were playing at home to an Eintracht Frankfurt team that has been in absolutely rotten form lately, as they peaked from January until about April and have since been bad, finishing the season with a 6-match winless streak, losing their final 3 in a row, and getting drubbed 5-1 on the day that Bayern Munich won the Bundesliga title. Congratulations to Bayern, who won what was their 7th title in a row, and there was a little magic to it, as both Robben and Ribery came off the bench in what could be their final appearances for Bayern, depending on if they feature in the DFB Pokal final. And both of them scored. Robbery did it again, and don't you just love that? It's poetry, just like Bayern's form to close out the season as they went undefeated in their final 14 matches. That's title-winning form, guys. Shout out to my guy Renato, who scored his first ever Bundesliga goal, then ran the length of the pitch to celebrate with the Bayern substitutes like Rafinha, Robben, and Ribery. And Ribery, man, what a goal in your final Bundesliga match. Loved seeing the celebrations of those two players. By the way, the fight for the Champions League places was pretty wild on this final match day, but in the end, this is what the Bundesliga table looks like. So Frankfurt dropped all the way down to 7th. Even Wolfsburg managed to finish above them in the end in 6th, which was surprising. Big congrats to Bayer Leverkusen on securing 4th place, going unbeaten in their last 6 matches of the season. In Spain, everything is all wrapped up now. Valencia got the win they needed to secure 4th place after they defeated Real Valladolid 2-0, while Getafe only drew against Villarreal. Barcelona tied 2-2 with Eibar, not much to talk about there, a brace for Messi. But after Atletico Madrid's 2-2 draw, there's a bit to talk about there. First off, the dude who looks like the guy who slept at the back of your biology class and drank nothing but Monster energy drinks, Antoine Griezmann. He, of course, will be leaving Atletico alongside Godin, so they played their final matches for El Pupas. On top of that, Atletico had the best defense in the league by a good 6 goals, and for the 4th season in a row now, Jan Oblak conceded the fewest goals of all La Liga keepers. Very obvious stat. I know that. And I mean, he's had an incredible defense in front of him, but to be able to stay focused when you're facing so few shots is really a massive achievement, in my opinion. Real Madrid, on the other hand, closed things out in a very unspectacular fashion as they lost 2-0 at home to Real Betis, meaning that was the first time that Zidane has lost 2 La Liga matches in a row with Madrid. Quite a forgettable season as they finished 21 points off of 1st place, the most that they have ever finished from the top. One thing people really picked up on is, with all of the rumors of Bale leaving, he didn't even get subbed on in this match with the team losing. Instead of removing Benzema for Bale, Zidane threw on Vasquez. After the match, rumored outgoing keeper Keylor Navas said his goodbyes to the fans, while Bale, he went straight down the tunnel. There was some misinformation being shared about all of this though, about Zidane saying that even if he had a 4th sub, it wouldn't have been Bale. That's apparently BS. Apparently he didn't say that in his press conference. But if this is to be his final match, or I guess his final attempt at a match, it's pretty sad. Look at what Sid Lowe had to say about this. Quote, "A bit sad, really. 4 European Cups, winning goal in 2 of the finals, a penalty in the 3rd, arguably the best European Cup final goal ever, arguably the best Copa del Rey final goal ever too, and it ends like this. Cold." I don't know where he'll end up, as he has a massive contract that few would want to pick up and pay for, and if you want to believe rumors, apparently he said he'd be willing to stick around and barely play, just collecting his paycheck. Sorry, he would be playing a lot, actually. The golf courses of Madrid will know him better than anyone next season, if he does stay around. Anyway, this is what the final table looked like in Spain, so as you can see, Real Madrid has a lot of ground to make up. 17 points back last season and 19 points back this season. Will be some more stability with Zidane over the summer, but as for the rest of the squad, it could look quite different come August. And finally, in Italy, things aren't quite wrapped up there, as there's still 1 match to go. However, Allegri's career with Juventus is seemingly wrapped, as it was announced on Friday that he would be leaving the club at the end of the season. When asked about it, he had nothing but class, as expected, saying his next destination would be the beach, and that he has no intention of taking a year off so long as the right project comes along for him this summer. He also said that he has no idea who will take over at Juventus. Some say Pochettino, Guardiola was thrown out there, but that won't happen, so who knows? It's kind of a stupid question to ask an outgoing manager though, like, I don't know, you think I even want to think about that? Anyway, as for his team, they only managed to draw at home to Atalanta. The struggle is certainly real with this squad right now, needing an 80th minute equalizer from Mandzukic to get the point. Juve are winless in their last 4 matches now, not exactly the strongest finish after clinching the title. In fact, Napoli played against Inter and won emphatically with a 4-1 scoreline. Just as Juve has been disappointing with the moves they're making last summer, it seems as if Inter would be capable of big things this season, but they've had a real wet blanket of a season. That loss drops them down to 4th with 1 match remaining, and with their rivals just a point behind them. By the way, Napoli really cut Juve's lead down. Inter play Empoli next, while AC Milan play Spal next. Atalanta, I guess you need to know who they play next as they are in 3rd, but level on points with Inter. So Atalanta will be facing Sassuolo at home. Not exactly an easy match, but you expect them to get the job done for their Champions League football next season. And that will be that, folks. This is the second to last weekend recap of the season. Oh, not the second to last video, though, as I'll still have more to produce for you this summer. There's still going to be a lot of Rabona TV. So thanks again for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, then dropping a like is always helpful, or a subscription. My name is Adrian, this is Rabona TV, I love ya, and I'll see you soon for a player bio and some Champions League final previewing. Ooh, later.